The year is 1994. Corpses litter the streets of Rwanda as one of the worst genocides in history comes to an end. A new transitional government comes to power, and those responsible for the mass killing of an estimated 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus are on the run. The dense and impenetrable forests of the DRC make an obvious choice to hide. In the crowded camps of the Congo, where millions of civilian Hutus find refuge, the ex-Hutu militia, or Interahamwe, regroup and recruit, forming a new rebel group that would come to be known as the Democratic Force for the Liberation of Rwanda, or the FDLR.
DRC's choice to integrate FDLR within government forces instead of expatriating them sends a strong and clear message to Rwanda, the region, and international community that the DRC is not interested in peace. Despite having full awareness of the DRC government's collaboration with FDLR, both MONUSCO and the UN Security Council have failed to take any substantive action. Instead, Rwanda has been made the scapegoat for the insecurity in the eastern DRC. This, unfortunately, reflects unwillingness on the part of the international community to face up to the root causes of the conflict in eastern DRC and to demand true accountability from the Congolese government.
The United States has been consistent in denouncing the collaboration between elements of the Congolese armed forces and UN and US-sanctioned armed actors, including the FDLR. The DRC must immediately cease its support to and coordination with the FDLR. We condemn any group that espouses genocide ideology and recognize that the FDLR remains a significant security threat to Rwanda.
We renew our condemnation of hate speech targeting certain communities, in particular the Tutsis. The armed forces of the DRC must, on their side, cease cooperation with any cooperation with FDLR.
Armed groups such as ADF, Mai groups, and Nyatura factions, and the FDLR are the direct beneficiaries of this concentration of forces, increasingly committing human rights violations and abuses, notably summary executions, injury, abduction, property appropriation and destruction, forced displacement, illegal taxation, as well as conflict-related sexual violence. Of note, the FDLR remained among the highest perpetrators of conflict-related sexual violence.
Rwanda is deeply concerned about the conflict that is taking place across the border. This is the reason our armed forces are deployed heavily along the border to ensure that Rwandans are protected. And there's always a danger of spillover when these groups clash across the border. That's why we're vigilant and alert, and we have mechanisms at the border to ensure that Rwandans and those who live here are protected. We're also concerned that what is going on in the DRC with the DRC government not only supporting, giving material, moral and political cover to illegal armed groups, including the genocidal militia FDLR, is a danger to the population in the DRC, and it's a threat to our security in Rwanda, and it is a violation of the ongoing peace arrangements, the Luanda and Nairobi protocols. The DRC government has failed to do its part to uphold these agreements that they signed up to, and as a result, the conflict is prolonged, and it puts people's lives in danger, and it continues the instability in this region that nobody wants.
The reality is that the FDLR are one of the largest armed groups, and certainly one of the oldest armed groups operating in the eastern DRC. They've been at the center of the destabilizing influences in the eastern DRC for a very, very long time. And that's both because they have now created links to local armed groups. There have been different splinters of the FDLR who have cooperated with local armed groups, who have cooperated with the Congolese army. And so there is that just very simple destabilizing factor. There is also the fact that they have quite entrenched economic interests in illegal mining, for example, but also in trade. And then finally, there's the fact that, for Rwanda, the Eastern DRC is ungoverned by the central government in Kinshasa, and they harbor the FDLR, a movement that is a threat to the security and stability of Rwanda. So long as you have the FDLR sitting in the Eastern DRC, you will have Rwanda saying that, and you will not find a solution to regional peace.
Well, the FDLR today, honestly speaking, they are the main reason why major armed groups in Eastern Congo exist.
Does anyone in this world want to keep this FDLR story going forever? Maybe there are people who want to keep it going forever. Maybe there are people who don't even care. It's their right. I have no quarrel with those. But boy, you are joking if you think some of us, Rwandans, who know the story about them, will ever agree with you. Anyone thinking like that is just absolutely mistaken. It's about us, it's about our lives, it's about our story, it's about our history, it's about our identity, it's about our existence, and nobody in this world is the one responsible for us. No, we are responsible for ourselves. But within my means, I will do everything that can be done to make sure that that story of FDLR and the genocide and which people play around with doesn't visit us again.